Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Triangle BNI. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we give you a wonderful small business success story from BNI. And if you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International. It's the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here is a triangle, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill in the middle of North Carolina. Have 29 chapters going strong, got six six core groups forming, and about 600 members. And each week we bring you a success story. And our guest today is Robert Dell'Osso, president of MasterKey Property Management. Robert, good to have you here today.
Thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
So Robert is in RD 29. He is on the membership committee there. They meet, that's actually my chapter. We meet Thursday mornings at 7:30 at Hope Community Church on Buck Jones Road. So if you're a morning person and you or someone you know is trying to start or grow a small business, we'd love to have you come out and meet us. All right, so MasterKey Property Management. I know nothing going on much these days in the real estate world. So, what's 29 like? What's 2019 like so far?
It's crazier than 2018. It's super busy.
What's been the difference in the last year? Let's start with the last year. What's been the difference?
I saw a little bit of softening in vacancy time towards the end of the year, where it's taking a little bit longer. And I know some of that's seasonal, but to get things that should be called sure thing rentals running quickly, but now it seems to be picking up again. I had one house in Cary, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, great little house, very well taken care of. I use the term my phone blew up with calls on it. And
how long is that for something like that in this market, that location? How long does that take to get?
You should find a tenant in less than a month. You know, a big question that owners will have is, well, how long is it going to take to rent my house? Well, it's hard to give an exact answer, right? And I think there's some out there that'll say, oh, I'll rent guaranteed in 3 weeks, or we'll give you something. But I try to, depending on where it's at, I try to tell them and be realistic. You know, once it's crossed the first of the month, unless they're in a bind, like something fell through, or they're moving in to start a job, they've got to give a 30-day notice. So you're looking at moving towards the end of the following month.
Yeah. But to get an application or find the right tenant, you got for houses like that, you got kind of your pick of the litter, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously for a lot of the stuff that we manage, our inventory, Cary, Mooresville, Apex, they go fast.
Oh yeah.
Inside the Beltline it's off the hook fast. I had a studio apartment, maybe 400 square feet, at 125 calls in 18 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd that go for?
It went for about $700
for 400 feet.
Maybe a little less.
It's like a tiny house, right? I love that show. The people build those tiny houses
inside the Beltline near 5 Points.
Oh gosh,
people, you know, you can walk to 3 different breweries, and you right downtown, and people.
Oh yeah,
absolutely love it.
Yep.
I think, in fact, my tenant, it's duplex, and the other tenant, she ended up finding somebody for me. Her best friend, she said, "Hey, my best friend really wants this place. Can she go up and see it?" And I said, "Sure, go up and let's take a look." And so I've had all those calls and emails, and then she ended up getting it rented for me.
And I think you told me this story before a couple of weeks ago. When you have that the correct property in the correct location, you can tell people when open house is.
Yeah.
And this is the only time it's going to be open.
Yeah, because you know, I can't spend 9 to 5 for 5 straight days doing showings at one house. So I just tell people, hey, the house is going to be open house style Saturday from 12 to 1 o'clock. That's your opportunity. And if I don't get an application out of that, then I'll do it, you know, the next day maybe. But 99% of the time, you'll get something out of it.
Do many people send you an application without even visiting the property?
Oh yeah, I get them all the time, but I don't run them. Like, I really want them. I don't run the application, because once you run the application, I can't refund their money, because I've incurred a cost, right, to screen them and check their credit. So I tell them, hey, I've got your application. Are you coming in to see it? And if they say, no, I'm not going to come in, I'm just going to move it, I'm honest. I'm hesitant to rent to somebody if I haven't even met you.
Yeah.
I want you to, you know, make sure you're a good tenant, talk to you, you know, find out all the screening stuff, you know.
So, okay. Well, I was thinking the other way around, so you'd rather see them than them physically see the property.
Well, I want to see them at the property.
Okay. Right.
Because what I don't want is, oh, they do it, they sign a lease, they move in, they don't like it. Well, you know, I thought this room was bigger than this, and this was this, so I'm going to move out in a year. Because moving out in a year is you know, it's churn. I'd rather have a tenant who's going to say 2, 3, 4, 5 years and move out.
And you're to the point now where you can kind of get a sense of let's just say your meter.
Yeah.
You can read your meter pretty good these days.
Oh yeah.
All right, so if you're not familiar with BNI and you've never been to a meeting, each week there's a featured speaker, and depending on the size of your group, it is 5 minutes or 10 minutes long, and each speaker is introduced by our member bio sheet, and that's how we do it here each week, so we're gonna start that way. Featured speaker today, Robert Dell'Osso, president and principal, I think I forgot to add that, of MasterKey Property Management. Profession is obviously residential property management, location, and years of business.
So our office is out of Cary, so we're all over the Triangle, and MasterKey's been around for about 2.5 years.
Okay. Previous types of jobs, I tell people this, I have most of your post-college stuff.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. I want to hear the memorable high school or college story that's worth telling.
So I spent pretty much all of high school working for a 2,500 acre nature preserve just outside of Houston called Armand Bayou Nature Center.
Okay.
And, they call it stewardship, land management, coastal prairie, tallgrass prairie restoration, prescribed fires, marsh restoration. We're actually rebuilding the marshes on some of the areas around that Galveston Bay, which I know you're familiar of. And then after my senior year of high school, I actually went to work on a cousin's cattle ranch up in Montana for that summer and the following summer.
Nice.
So that was a fun experience. It's hard work, right? It's dark to dark, 6 days a week.
Yep.
And, it's, a lot of time on a horse, right?
Was that one of those dude ranches from City Slickers?
No, right? No, it was 30 miles from the nearest town. So when you didn't have stuff to do, you're there, right? Because drive into a town that's a tiny little town, but it was a great experience.
Did you know what you were getting into?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I had a general idea, but I had never worked with cattle or anything like that.
All right. Were you good on a horse?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. All right. What was the pay
I think I made $500 a summer.
for the whole summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not a lot.
Okay. You probably slept a lot.
I
And
had
ate
free
a lot,
housing
right? Yeah.
and free food and got to stay in his house. I didn't have to stay down in the ranch hands housing or anything like that, right? So
nice. Think you're the first. I think that's the first summer job like that we've had on the show. This is what we like. We like the first on here. So next part of the member bio sheet is the family information. And I always like how you describe Cheryl. And hello, Cheryl. Good morning. Glad you're watching. But I always like how you describe Cheryl.
The lovely and perfect Cheryl Steinhoff.
And I always ask people, how did you meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
Yeah, I bought her online. No, we were walking our dogs at Bond Park over in Cary, and I think the dogs did it, right? Because the dogs always want to.
It's like a Lifetime movie.
It is, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I could have just borrowed a dog.
Yeah.
And walked around the park or something.
And your dogs started sniffing each other, and you two started talking?
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Found out she was a photographer, does real estate photography. Used her on some houses.
Okay.
So great.
And the rest they say is okay.
Yeah.
And that was how long ago?
Probably get her to call in because I'm the worst with dates and times.
Pick a day.
I don't know.
2 years? Okay. Right. She's laughing now. So, and your daughter, I know you brag about.
Yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. And your daughter, I know you love bragging about.
Sophia, 10 years old. Definitely daddy's little girl. Only have one daughter. So, she is awesome.
Right.
Handful as any 10-year-old little girl, but she's awesome. And Cheryl's got 2 great boys, 15 and 17, Ethan and Cole. So both a couple of lacrosse players over at Green Hope High School.
I saw the pictures the other day.
So, yeah, it's
that's
fun
cool.
to watch.
All right. So does Sophia have a good mix of your good and bad qualities?
She's stubborn, I think, and she probably gets a little bit of that from me. But she's very crafty and creative, which is not really me.
Yeah.
But I like that. She loves to draw, loves to make things.
Yep.
So
right.
And right now, unicorns are in.
Are they? Okay.
Unicorns are in.
No, I don't like that. So you're gonna have a unicorn tattoo one day, one of those henna tattoos one day. She paint your fingernails when you were younger?
I'll let her paint my toes every once in a while.
Okay. All right.
The things dads will do for daughters.
Yeah. I fully, I believe that.
Could have my dad call in and say the same.
Yeah.
About my sister.
The
only
I thought I was gonna say you painted his his toes, but no. So, okay. Hobbies and activities of interest.
Spending time with the family. We love to go ski, as you know.
Yes.
But we go after the BNI meeting, so we don't miss that.
Yes.
And we like to go up to Snowshoe in West Virginia. It's just a great getaway. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's beautiful out there, and they get a ton of real snow.
Yeah. And if you're connected with Robert on Facebook during the winter time, we would always see him in the meeting. He is correct. He does not miss Thursday morning meetings. But then was pick the snow. We should have had a contest on where are they skiing this weekend, because it seemed like for a stretch there, almost 5 out of 6 weekends, you guys were skiing.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's just you get that bug in you. And I finally started improving and trying to get closer to the skill level of Cheryl. So it's more fun.
Well, yeah, with her
I don't have
Colorado
to
background.
right,
Yeah,
I don't
she's
stay on the
okay.
bunny slopes anymore.
Yeah. What was with the Notre Dame hat the other day?
Oh, that's where my dad went, my brother went,
Oh,
a lot of my
Cheryl,
family.
we
She
gotta
needed
talk.
something green for St. Patty's Day.
I could have gotten you a green hat. So, city of residence and how long?
Live in Morrisville. Been there almost a couple years, but rotated between Cary and Morrisville since I moved here back in 2000.
Okay. Your burning desire is to
just be able to work about 20 hours a week, to be
There you go.
honest, have time to do things with kids, go to Sophia's school,
Mhm.
just maybe play golf, right? It's
There you
kinda,
go.
then I could be in the club with some of our other fellow chapter members.
The key to your success.
For me, it's communication and treat my owner's houses like it was my own rental
Yes.
house.
Yeah. Because you have owners from all over the country, right?
Yeah, I even have one in China.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. And communication, I mean, they have to have that from
Right.
you.
Yep.
Because we've heard horror stories of other
And a lot of them have
property
never
managers
they've never had a rental property, right? So maybe they moved out of their
Ah,
house and want to keep it, or they bought one.
okay.
And so there's a lot of,
Right.
the slight, hey, there's a little repair. So while it may seem like a minor repair to me, they want to know all the details because it's new to them. So
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
make them comfortable.
And there are different rules on, well, not a rule, but I've heard stories from other property managers before that when Joe and Sally decide, hey, we're going to buy a bigger house, but we want to keep this and rent it, and they find a tenant, and the refrigerator goes out, and we're not paying for that. They broke it. No, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to fix it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, sure, if they broke it, like rip the door off,
yeah,
you charge them back for it. That, things like heat, AC.
yeah,
In North Carolina, you have to have heat. You got to provide heat. And if you have AC, you got to keep providing AC.
yeah.
You can't just decide, I don't want to fix it anymore. Or it's not too cold out.
Yeah,
Get a blanket.
yeah. People don't like that.
So
answer.
frankly, I won't take those houses on.
Yeah.
If I get the sense that they're gonna push back on all the repairs, I just, finally decline the service.
Yeah.
And ask them I won't sign a management.
There you go. Okay. And there are a few people here watching today haven't gotten to know you yet as we know you, but something no one knows about you.
Ooh, struggled to come up with this one last. Something no one knows about me. Well, I think I went out west and fought fires part of a summer outside of Yellowstone.
Mhm.
That was fun. I volunteer in the fire department in
Yeah,
Morrisville.
we're gonna talk about that. Yeah,
So,
which is pretty cool.
yeah, worked last week, went to a call, which was around the corner from my house. Luckily, it was nothing to it, just an oven issue. But
Okay.
up, come around the corner, popped Cheryl and the dog. See what's going on. So,
I was in downtown Raleigh yesterday and driving on South Saunders. Dawson turns into South Saunders, which at 40, okay, and I was getting on 40 to go back home, and there was a car, I don't know, maybe 50, 75 yards in front of me going through the light there, and there's another car making a left to get onto 40, and they collided and spun the car making a left, did like a 360
mhm.
came, and so I pulled over to get out, see if they're okay, and the same time, this husband and wife pulled over to see if everybody's okay, and so she's talking to the people in the car, make sure they're okay. I called 911, and then the officer gets there, and I find out what a horrible witness I was. I'm like, "Well, I think it was a white car that was going straight." The lady goes, "No, I think it was a blue car that was." So it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And this story's not about me. It's about when you get on site and just ask somebody what's happened, and if you're not involved
everybody will
with
get a
it,
different story.
exactly. And I've not had to do that in a long time, and I'm standing there thinking like, I just saw it.
So you give a lot of credit to the officers who are the accident reconstruction specialists because they've got to piece all that together and
Yeah.
actually figure it out what really happened. because the people involved don't necessarily know because, they kind of just got their bell rung, right? So
yeah, or they may not want to admit.
Right.
But I mean, it was a nasty crash, but everybody was okay. But the lady and I were talking, and I just didn't realize how bad of a witness I was. It's like, so when you show up, I'm sure you get people all the time like, well, I think this or maybe that, and you're gonna have to ask 8 or 10 the
And
question.
sometimes we'll ask people the same thing because we want to get a good sense of how hurt are they, right? Because they may say they're fine, but they start giving you a different story, and there could be something going on with some sort of trauma that you can't tell.
Well, and you hear stories all the time, and you laugh about it on these TV shows. If there's an accident at an intersection, there's 4 different people standing there, they're gonna see it 4 different ways.
Oh, yeah.
So again, for you guys to reconstruct what happened or figure out, and more power to you, because I was not, other than calling 911, I wouldn't want to help that day. So, MasterKey Property Management. You have a history of property management and real estate in your family.
Yeah.
Correct? Right.
Yep.
So how did that start?
Well, for me, I grew up in it, I tell people.
Yep.
I think as down to being a baby was use the term drug around to rent houses by my dad as a kid. And I remember his little silver boombox playing oldies because that's what we had to listen to. And he'd give us a screwdriver and have us start taking doorknobs off or the door stops or changing the wall plates. And then as we got older, we could paint, especially if he was going to change the carpet. Oh, you can paint this room because the carpet's coming up.
Yeah. You can make a mess. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then move on up a little bit to being able to change electrical outlets and stuff. So, some Saturdays, not all, but I have vivid memories of going around to those and you're there. And
that was in Houston?
In the Houston area. Grew up in Clear Lake.
Yeah. Now, how did he get started in that then?
His dad was, he had a hotel right on Seawall Boulevard in Galveston.
Oh, okay.
Some rentals. Right. So that's my grandfather started doing that. So they just kind of grew into it. They had a couple of after my dad graduated from college. It's the Notre Dame hat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We got to talk about
it. They built a couple of apartment buildings in Galveston and just kind of went from there. And I remember going down with him. Him and his brother would rotate every other weekend going down and checking on them and get the quarters out of the laundry machines. And then for us is we'd roll the quarters when we got back home or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So connecting the dots, does Sophia know what she's going to be doing when she graduates college?
She knows. I mean,
that'll be the 4th generation, right?
She probably says the same as I did. I don't want to go. I tell her, hey, we have to go rent housing this weekend. I don't want to. Can I do this or can we do this instead? And so I drag her around some, but I don't really put her to work much because she just doesn't want to do it.
She'd paint though. If
she
you told her,
but it wouldn't be a solid color.
But if you told her, hey, you can paint this wall whatever you want, we're going to be here 3 hours here.
Right now, it'd be rose gold.
Okay.
And there'd be other times where it'd be pink or raspberry, but rose gold is pretty in right now for her. So, in some areas that maybe for like a Kardashian, they would like that.
Yes, gold, there you go. Yeah. So what got you to Raleigh?
After college, I got a job with IBM. The job was here.
Okay.
Originally, they said, "You want to go to Dallas or Boulder?" And I said Dallas because I had friends who lived there and never lived out of Texas. And then they called me a couple weeks later and said, "All right, we got this job for you. It's in Raleigh." Where? Raleigh, North Carolina. So why don't you come on out? We'll fly you out and check it out. So I, I went in, took the offer, figured worst case, it's a year.
Yeah.
Dad and I flew out, found an apartment. A few weeks or a month later, on Halloween of 2000, I moved out and been here ever since.
All right. And so then you started MasterKey. When and why and how?
Well, I bought a few rentals of my own over the years, starting back as far as 2004, and then it gets harder to buy houses. It's expensive, obviously, especially investment properties. They want 20 or 25% down, and it's a hefty down payment. And so it got to the point where I realized I can manage other people's houses, make some money doing that, and have some rentals and maybe build up some more rentals. And started doing research into it. And in North Carolina, you have to have a broker's license to do property management. So I went to the real estate licensing school and took that and got my license, my broker's license, and post licensing classes, et cetera, all that. I'm a full broker, and kind of in parallel was setting the foundational work for the property management firm, set up the LLC, start, you know, checking out different software platforms because I knew the industry had changed. It changed away from everybody mailing in checks and you're keeping things on a little spreadsheet ledger, right?
Yeah.
And it's everything software based, and I'm not sure that I would have gotten into it if it wasn't more software based because I'm a big believer in trying to keep things efficient. So,
Remember the first house you bought?
yeah,
How
I
much?
still have it.
Oh, do you?
Mhm.
How much you pay for it?
176.5 inside the belt line.
Not anymore.
Nope. You cannot buy something inside the belt line for that.
How long was your first tenant there?
So it had existing tenants, and I went and met with them. One tenant was fine, stayed a year or two. The other one, I said, hey, the other one was getting a deal from the previous owner. She was friends with him. I said, I've got to bring you up a little bit. He was just paying $500 a month. I said, I need to bring you up to like 7, just to at least cover my mortgage. You know, I'll give you a year and then we'll revisit it. I think I might have gotten 1 month out of her, but it took 2 months to get that 1 month's rent. So you kind of learned early on. And, you know, first house, one of your first tenants, you have to do the eviction process. So I learned that. But, you know, I tell people I didn't screen that tenant. If I'd have screened them, I would have had a better tenant. So after that, I started screening better and checking credit.
We are here with Robert Dell'Osso, president and principal of MasterKey Property Management. Robert's in RD 29 on the membership committee. Our group meets Thursday mornings at 7:30 at Hope Community Church on Buck Jones Road. Amnon, you got a question, looks like.
CS photo, I guess that's
the lovely and
she's
perfect
saying
Cheryl.
all the kids get the rent house education.
They do. I usually use Ethan and Cole for the dirty work. Hey, we've got to clean out this house, or I need you to crawl into this crawl space and change a water heater with me.
Yeah.
So I know it's a lost cause trying to get Sophia to do that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But,
I mean, nobody wants to crawl under a
they'll, you know, teenage boys are hungry to make a little money.
Yeah.
And there's not much they won't do. That, you know?
Sure. We'll try that once. Yeah. Not a problem. So we are in the middle of March now. We have Easter coming up. Are holidays a big deal in your family?
Yeah. You know, I grew up Italian Catholic family, so it was big. The big holidays were Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That was the big one.
Right.
So.
What'd you do last Easter?
Last Easter, I can't remember if it was that Easter or the one before. I think it was last year where I took Cheryl out to brunch and then I made her go change a water heater with me. So we went to a nice brunch, you know, church and a brunch. I was in a suit. She looked beautiful. And then in that outfit, I took her to Lowe's to get a water heater. And then we went home and changed the water heater.
At least she got the meal first, right?
Yeah. She reminds me of this is what I had to do.
She just reminded Amnon. That's why I asked.
But it's really, if my mother was listening, she probably would say, well, that's nothing different I had to go to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's got her own book, doesn't she?
Yeah,
yeah. That's funny. All right. So BNI is Business Networking International, and it's seat specific. That's what we like about it. So basically $445 a year. You buy out your competition and you're the only one in there. So in our chapter, Robert is the only residential property manager. So the realtor, the investors, a handyman he loves, our handyman, Dave Kenny, they build those relationships that way and send referrals to each other. When was the first time you literally heard BNI?
You know, I think I had heard a little bit off and on, just, there's some networking groups out there like BNI, but I had no details until one day, Sabrina Shell with Alcova Mortgage calls me up. And I've known Sabrina for 10 plus years. She's, I tell people, the greatest mortgage broker advisor I've ever met. She said, hey, I have a seat open in my BNI group, property manager. They left and it was great for them. And they got so busy and they left. And are you interested? And I said, I didn't hesitate. I said, yep, I'm in.
Yep.
Because I'd heard about it, but I didn't really investigate or visit any chapters. And And honestly, our chapter is the only one I visited. Even though I tell people visit a bunch of chapters before you pick one, but I came, I felt right at home, and it was great. And
Well, and you had that connection. A lot of times you're looking for that connection. Well,
right,
if you have it, it makes sense. And the timing's good because by 9 o'clock, 9:15, I mean, we're
yeah, and
off and
that was one
running.
of the things she said. She said, "Hey, it's at 7:30. I know it's early in the morning, but you're
Yeah.
done by 9."
Yeah.
A lot of them are midday or mid
Mhm.
morning, and it's kind of harder to do. And I said, "No, that time works perfect for me."
It's hard for trades. Oh, yeah.
It is.
It's always interesting for me when somebody joins a chapter because you kind of know what power team they're on, if it's the real estate group or the B2B group. But sometimes you find referral partners in the most unlikely sources. Many of them jump out at you anywhere in BNI. People like, oh, I didn't expect to get a couple referrals from that person.
I've gotten them from. Well, it was kind of interesting because our handyman gave me a
Mhm.
referral for his own
Yeah,
property, right?
yeah.
And I think I'd known he had a rental property or two, but turns out it's a triplex in Cary.
Comes with the
Perfect,
trust.
right?
I mean, we talk all the time on the show. It's a BNI giver's game, but it's no like and trust. And
Oh
you're not
yeah,
going to turn. And when money's involved, that changes all kinds of conversations and relationships
and
till people want to
it's
do that.
money, and in a sense, for me, it's assets. It's
Mhm.
in some of my clients' cases, it's the largest asset they have,
Yeah.
right? And so I trust, like we have Dave Kenny and we have Johnny Powell with Greenlight Cooling and
Mhm.
Heating. I don't need to be there when they go to a place.
No.
Here's the lockbox. I'll put a lockbox on. Here's the code. I absolutely trust them 1,000% to go in and do what they need to do, and the results are great, and everybody's satisfied. And I
Yep.
can't tell you how often tenants will say, "Oh, Dave was here and he was great, and he fixed one little thing for me as well, and it was perfect. It didn't take but a minute." And, yeah, that's great. And Johnny, oh, he was great. He explained
Yeah.
everything what was going on, and
Yeah, and Dave's different from a lot of handyman and B&I because some of them, like in any industry, they'll put a floor on, I don't do this.
yes.
But Dave literally will go out there and change one ceiling fan for you, won't he?
Oh, he'll do less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him go out and fix one drain or something. I mean, he'll do little things. "Hey, you in the area? Any way you can
Yeah.
pop by here?" "Sure, no problem." "Is there a way to get in?" "Yep, there's a key in the lockbox."
Yeah. But that's the beauty.
But
Those
you're
are,
right. A lot of them
yeah.
will,
Oh, there's like,
I really wanna block the whole morning or something.
yeah. Or I only do all the ceiling fans
Right.
instead of just one or one doorknob or something like that. But yeah, but you build those relationships. And I know that there are a few property managers in BNI, and Acorn and Oak is who you're talking about. She's a friend of the show. We had
Mhm.
her on early on when we got started, but Brent did wonderfully there. I think he did so good. They moved him to Greensboro.
Yeah, that's what
So,
Sabrina had said.
yeah.
"Hey, the guy's moving to
Yeah.
Greensboro, the seat's opening up."
Yeah. And of course, your sense of humor fits in well. If you really would like to laugh at 7:30 in the morning, please come visit our chapter. We do have a good time. But at 7:30 in the morning, to get people at the meetings, you kind of have to entertain them in some sort. So when you visited the first time, did you have any expectations?
Nope,
Okay.
I didn't. I just knew I was coming to a networking group that had a bunch of seat specific, and Sabrina had kinda given me the lowdown of, what
Mhm.
we had, but it wasn't all of them. But walk in, everybody's super nice, making a point to go up and introduce you around to other people. "Oh, you're a
Yeah.
property manager? You need to meet, this person, this person, this person." And, just made some great connections. For me, it has made my business easier
Mhm.
because I built my trusted vendor database out of BNI essentially.
Yeah, and the nice thing with Sabrina is that she's very good friends with Amy Scher, our realtor.
Mhm.
And then so to bring you into that mix, and then there's Dave and Johnny and all that. So, I mean, it's a match made in heaven for you,
Oh,
wasn't it?
yeah. It was great.
So once you left the first meeting, even before you joined or put in an application, how were your wheels turning about, "Oh, I could do this, I need to do that," and just
It was just like that. It was like, okay, I need to meet get to know the HVAC guy better
yeah,
and get to know the handyman better. Those are the two vendors I use the most.
yeah,
Handyman and HVAC, and to a degree, a plumber. And now that we have a plumber,
yeah.
which was another one, we took us a while to get a plumber,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I mean, it's hard. So I've been in the chapter for over a year,
yeah.
and we just got a plumber. So
And Ben introduces himself as our Canadian plumber, so
yep,
and we enjoy the humor, so
and we almost hopefully have an electrician.
I
So
know,
it's like
yeah,
perfect for me.
yeah. Have you had a chance to visit other chapters?
Um, I visited one that was kind of starting up,
Mhm.
and that's it really. It just fell in
Yeah.
perfectly. And again, it's the time,
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of times If I'm doing showings, it's over lunch. People they can get away from
Okay.
work over lunch or after work.
Yep.
But a lot of people who are looking for a house, they can't just leave and go see it at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They're working.
In a normal week, and whatever normal is, it is for you, how many showings will you do?
You know, if I have a vacancy,
Yeah.
which I do have one right now, and another one coming in
Would you
pretty
like to
big.
share that with everybody?
Yeah, 5612 Cary Glen Boulevard over in Cary Park, which is a super desirable neighborhood in Western Cary. So 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,700 square feet, 2-car garage, beautiful house, beautifully maintained. Walk to the pool in
Nice.
Cary Park. It's one of the big
Yeah.
developments in Cary. It's great.
So with a location like that and a property like that, how many applications will you get?
I'll get more on the weekends than I do during the week
Yeah.
because it's a little just the demographic. It's more of a family with kids. So especially in Cary, in certain parts or surrounding there, people with kids, they're doing their research before they move because they don't want to risk losing the school they're in
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
school reassignment stuff. So
Is that one of the first questions you'll get?
I get that a lot.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
People have kids and they're in this school. Is it zoned for this school? And I provide them the link. There's a link to Wake County's school's website.
Okay.
And with that, unless I'm checking it right then and there, I don't, it could change. You never know when it changes.
Yeah.
They can go out there, they can plug in the address of the property and check. And a lot of
Okay.
times I'll put it in the listing, verify schools at this link. And you
Yeah.
can tell them your address of what your schools are.
Yeah.
That way, if they move, they don't want, they don't want to get reassigned.
Oh, sure.
They want to
Yeah.
be able to keep their kids in school.
Are you able to put photos up of most of your properties
Oh,
when
yeah,
they're for rent? Okay.
all of them. Yeah.
And are more people, I know more people are shopping online.
Yep.
And they'll call you, oh, we found this instead of, hey, what do you have? Right.
Yep. Yep. No, I don't get too many of, hey, what do you have? People are calling about a specific property we have listed. So when we list a property through the software we use, it puts it out on about 35 different websites.
Okay.
So it's on all the big ones, Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, Apartment Guide, you name it, it's out there. So the exposure is heavy. And of course you have the sign in front, which you get a little bit of drive by, but not as much because people are going to Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com.
Yeah.
That's where they're doing their searches. And then they'll make calls or inquiries and they can inquire directly from that and it'll contact us, send us a notification directly.
Okay. Now, Robert is a proud graduate of Stephen F. Austin in business administration and management. So what did you learn from that you've been able to apply in property management?
A lot of it almost kind of you think back to the organizational behavior classes, dealing with people and just a different range,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
whether they're even with your owners or with your tenants, just dealing with people and their personalities.
Yeah.
And kind of, you gotta, change up a little bit your approach to some people than others.
I got to believe you get some weird questions from people that just throw up a red flag, right? From the renters or
Yeah.
prospective renters.
Yeah.
What kind of goofy questions do you get?
It's more of a statement in a lot of cases. Oh, I have 5 dogs. This is 1,000 square foot. And we typically limit it to no more than 2 pets.
Yeah.
And, I love pets. I love my dog. I love dogs, but it's just, you start getting a lot of pets and the wear and tear. They really beat up on properties, and stuff.
And you were telling us a story a couple weeks ago. 3 or 4 of us had lunch together, talking about some stuff, and you had mentioned that you're hesitant to work with an owner that doesn't allow pets.
Right. I mean, I will, but
And maybe
I
hesitant's the
tell
wrong word,
them,
but yeah.
well, I try to counsel them and say, it's fine if you don't want to restrict pets, but it's going to severely limit the number of calls and inquiries you get because it seems nowadays almost everybody's got a cat or a dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have a condo that I manage over between Cameron Village and Glenwood South, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. You'd think it would go in a heartbeat. But the owner had a bad experience with the previous manager and some pets. So they are no pets. I mean, no fish, nothing. They don't want anything. And it took 2-3 months, but they were okay with that because I don't want pets. And so, as long as you're upfront with them, hey, look, it's going to take longer because it seems like 80% of the people have something.
Yeah. But they knew that up front because you told them that. Yeah.
And, and it's, we do collect a pet deposit.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it just seems a lot of people have pets. So it's hard to it's certainly up to them, and I'll do whatever they want with regards to pet policy. But I just forewarned them.
Yeah. What rights do the landlords have? Can they come and go when they want?
No. So there's tenants have a right to privacy.
Mhm.
So you need to give adequate notice before doing an inspection on a property. So a lot of times you go in, you may want to do a quarterly inspection, go change the air filters or something. You need to let them know. And the funny thing is the lease that the Association of Realtors puts out is a little bit vague on it. They just say adequate or whatever
Yeah.
the language is. Whereas I try to tell people, hey, if I'm coming in for like a routine maintenance of change your filters, I want to let you know at least a week out and be flexible with you. Hey, here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
And come in, just a quick inspection, change the filters. Does this day and time work okay for you? If you want to be there, that's fine. If not, we can use our courtesy key to get ourselves in. Unless there's an emergency. If
Mm.
there's water leak or something going on, we can go right in to protect the property.
Yeah.
But you can't just show up whenever you want.
Yeah. And I think you had a story. I don't think you mentioned any names of it, but the door that went missing.
Yeah, when I was and this is an old trick. So I do not do this because it's illegal. So
For the record,
for
he
the
does
record,
not.
I've never
So
done this. When I was in pre-licensing school, there was a guy who owned a bunch of Section 8 properties somewhere in Raleigh. And where I was just chatting because, I was getting into property management. And I said, well, isn't it difficult collecting rent? Because a lot of times, or in some cases, the Section 8 the voucher doesn't pay the full amount. So the tenant has to pay some and they might get behind. I said, what do you do if if you're owed a bunch of money? Do you evict them or what? Isn't it hard? Well, it's really hard to evict them, but I'll just send my maintenance person over there if it's the winter time, to take the front door off. And I about fell out of my chair. I said, take the front door off. Apparently that's an old Section 8 trick that is highly illegal, or they'll disconnect the wire on the HVAC. And I could not imagine ever doing anything like that because
oh
there's
God, what you told that?
yeah, I mean, and I heard, I was in my continuing education over the weekend for my license, and there was a guy who'd been a realtor for 30, 40 years, and we were covering the update section on fair housing, and he mentioned, oh, there's the old take the front door off trick. And
The instructor just wouldn't know.
He's like, no, I didn't do it. I don't do it either. But we've heard it. If you're in the business, you've probably heard it. That kind of gives the bad name, right? Oh, the slumlords, right? That's the stuff I exactly will not touch because it takes so much of my time.
Yeah.
You're getting a percentage of the rent as your management fee, right? If there's a business model. If I'm going to have to spend 20 hours a month on one house, I don't make any money.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
So I don't want to deal with it. And that's for instance, Section 8's a niche that you really need to learn, and I don't know it, right? There's a lot of laws and rules and regulations, and some people do really well at it and have no problems with tenants. They've been very successful at it.
Yeah, you're either all in that or you're not in it, right? Yeah.
It's not something you want to do as just an added revenue stream.
Yeah.
I think it's because you have to keep up with a lot of stuff, and they inspect your houses too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So looking back on 2018, is there a percentage you could give that BNI was worth to your bottom line?
I'd probably say 25%, but there's the benefit that's kind of I'd say it probably of just building the relationships with the vendors that have saved me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Because you build these relationships with guys, you use them a lot, you're getting some competitive pricing from all of them because you're using them a lot during the year.
Yeah.
So it saved costs that pass those costs on to the owner. With those costs, there's a repair at a house that directly impacts the owner. So they're able to help their bottom line.
Yeah. And that's what I love telling people about BNI is why it's worth it, because you're with one group of people that are worth roughly 20-25% of your bottom line. And I always give people the example is if you had another client worth 20-25% of your bottom line, and they said, hey, Robert, every Tuesday morning we're having coffee at Starbucks, talk about my business, my portfolio. Where are you going to be? I mean, how many places can you go one stop to get 25% of your bottom line?
As a small business person, you've got, say the chapter has 20, 25 people. You've got 20 to 25 business development people on your staff that you don't have to pay.
It's gold.
Right?
Oh,
They're your advocates.
Yeah. Oh, you inherit a sales team.
And exactly. And for what's it cost for a year? 400 and something.
445.
And or 6 something for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah.
One referral that if it closes, that's more than paid for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And that's what I
easily.
tell people, and it's hard. Some people don't, oh, I don't want to commit and do all that. Listen to me. One referral is more than paid for it. That
Yeah.
closes.
How many doors do you want to knock on to get
Right.
that property? And you come every Thursday morning and somebody goes, "Hey, I got one for you."
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. Now, what have you found that you were able to give back to the chapter once you kind of understood what BNI was and meeting everybody?
I'll give referrals maybe if I don't need them, but I'm able to. A lot of my referrals are maybe like an inside referral, right? Because I need them.
Yeah.
But then I'm finding, oh, well, a friend of mine wants to talk to a financial advisor. So, I've got somebody I know and trust. I'm going to give them a referral. Go talk to them.
Paul Lindsay.
Or even,
Yep.
Paul Lindsay, Tom Ascona, Affordable Promos.
Oh, he's great. Here's
I'll
one of
do a
his
plug.
pens.
I'll do a plug right here. Is one he
Yep.
did for Chris Thoreau with MetLife
Yep.
in our chapter. He's great.
Oh, good. Those are the ones he's going to quote me on. So, okay.
Right.
I like those. All right.
Chris is great. A little plug for him at MetLife.
Yep.
I switched over to him over the weekend. He saved me $300 or $400 a year for better coverage than I had.
Yep. And that's the thing. Yeah. And now, but you've got that's the other thing I like about BNI is you've got his cell phone number. So you're not calling an 800 number, punching in your 16-digit code. Chris, I got a problem. Or you shoot a text. Hey, got a question on this. Can you just shoot me a note back? Yeah.
And I've referred some of my owners over.
Yeah.
So I will take credit for at least for a day. I don't know about now, but on Saturday, I was his largest client. Today it's probably changed because I'm sure he's gotten some whales or something.
But that's okay.
And like Tom Ascona, I'll give a plug to him. He did a great jacket for me.
Yeah.
And he does stuff for people all the time. And in fact, I connected him up with my brother in Galveston, who owns Galveston Island Brewing, the largest brewery in Galveston Island, right? So very
nice.
successful, and trying to get him to maybe get in there with some of his shirts and hats and koozies and stuff, right
Very
up
cool.
Tom's alley.
So when most people think of, and we're here with Robert Dell'Osso, president and principal of MasterKey Property Management, residential property management company. So we think of property managers as, oh, they collect the money and they do this and they do that. But one of the things that's as valuable I've found is the tenant screening.
Yeah.
Because you get, and you've told stories before, you get the wrong tenant in there and life's miserable for a little while, isn't it? Or it can be.
It is. I mean, that's the key to a successful rental is tenant screening.
Yep.
You've got to screen thoroughly. And I check credit. Yep. You're going to pull your credit report. No different than if you go to apply at a big apartment complex.
Yeah.
We're checking your credit. We're checking your criminal background for any. We're verifying your work and your salary. You got to provide some pay stubs. We're calling your previous landlords. Those are the big ones. And a lot of people say, oh, well, if they're a problem, they may just say they're great to get rid of them. Maybe, but in most cases, I found previous landlords are honest, because when they call to get a referral to check on another tenant, they want that person to be honest with them. So they'll be upfront with you.
And you can probably tell by how they answer that question, or if there's a pause before they give you an answer, right?
Yeah.
Because you've done enough of those, right?
Oh,
you can kind of, again, your meter's kind of going, okay, I pick up on that.
And, if they've been at one of the big complexes that are corporate owned, when you fill out the rental verification authorization and send it in, that's basically all you can do with them, because they have, 300-400 units. They don't know, Mike Manning from the next person.
Yeah.
So, but they'll put on there and they're going to be honest. Any lates? Yep. We had one this month.
Oh, and you get access to that?
Yeah, because the tenants who are applying, they have to sign a form authorizing the release of that. And so we send it over, and then they fill it out and send it back right away. And so, you get it, and they're honest. And they can say, hey, you had some lates here.
I go back to along those lines of in my managing retail worlds a while ago, we had to do drug tests, and we did the mouth swab. Okay. And we interviewed this nice person and was going to be a huge hit for the company, liked everything. Take a month, go back to the back office and do the drug test. And the only question I got back was, do we need to do that today? Thanks for coming by.
That reminds me of back in my IBM days when I was working as a project lead on a help desk, and the contracting agency brought someone in, and we were having to get a clearance form. It was from the Postal Service contract. And I was like, hey, this drug test came back and they failed it. So you got to cut them loose. They come on, they could do some initial training, but they couldn't actually access anything until the clearance came back. And she goes, oh, no, maybe it was just like cold medicine. We're finding some of that and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, this says, cocaine and heroin. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, by the way, the criminal said, background part said they committed credit card fraud
Yeah.
twice, and we're dealing with point of sale system. So it's not going to work out.
So now when you do background checks for tenants, what are some gray areas that you're willing to live with or ask for further information on?
Well, I mean, on like the criminal traffic violations,
Yeah.
don't really care about, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's gets a speeding ticket. When I'm looking at the credit, and I tell people I look at your full picture. I'm not just looking at your score. You have a 700, great, you're in. So maybe it's lower, but there's a bunch of medical. And sometimes people get
Okay.
they have some medical issue and they incur
Yeah.
a bunch of debt, and it's not something they can necessarily help, right? So it's not
Yeah.
that they're poor management of their financials. It's just they got overwhelmed. I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
look at the full picture and I tell them that. And I'll have a conversation. Now, if they get on and they've got 100 and something $1,000 in credit card debt and they can't even make their
Yeah.
minimum payments and they've been evicted 4 times, it's just a straight denial letter because that's not something we can work.
So of all the information you get back on people, what's the one thing that's at the top of the list that could justify, verify, or cover some other gray areas?
We look at their late payments and
Yeah.
their on-time
That's
payments.
right.
So
Yeah.
if they don't have any 30, 60, 90 lates, but maybe their debt's real high for something else, hey, they're paying everything and they've got the
Yeah.
income, we're okay with that. If the medical's way down or they got student loans or something. But as long as they're paying, they pay their rent on time, they're paying their normal credit cards on
Yeah.
time, and any loans they have, they're paying that on time. Because if you're late, if you end up getting evicted and you got debts with us, the way our software is set up, it reports back good and bad. So we also help tenants build their credit history.
Oh, okay.
So it reports good, all your on time payments. So that helps them. But,
Yeah.
on the flip side, if we have a bad debt, like you skip out, it's going to get reported in
Yeah.
your credit.
I'm sure you get a couple of, but
Yeah.
when you get the report, call me. I'll explain.
People will call and they'll start the call. Hey, I'm calling about this house. Or they'll answer the phone. They'll start with, hi, let me tell you about my situation. I just got evicted and I need a place.
Yeah.
Probably better off calling a large apartment complex that can manage that risk.
Oh, yeah.
It's harder to manage if you can manage that risk at 300 units
Yeah.
in one place spread out. But I've got one person's home I'm managing, and that's a critical asset. Maybe that's part of their retirement income. So
Yeah.
they're counting on that. So I can't play around with that. We can't spread the risk.
Do you, in the pest control world, occasionally we get called to some of these university housing duplexes. Do you go anywhere near those?
I some of the stuff inside the Beltline will sometimes get students, but a lot of times it's kind of such to where they're just graduated or maybe they're a graduate
Yeah.
student. I rent to the condo I told you about, with no pets.
Yeah.
2 students who are PhD candidates in statistics.
Yeah.
So they're not
Yeah.
having parties and tearing the place up.
Yeah.
They keep the place immaculate.
Who is your longest running tenant? Without asking names, how long have they been in a property of
I've got a
yours?
guy who's been in one of my own personally owned properties for over 10 years.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. Life's good with that one, right?
He takes very good care of the place. He fixes minor stuff. If times he'll call me is if the water heater fails or the HVAC fails. In fact, he hardly runs that. So
Yeah.
some major component.
What's the shortest tenant you've ever had in any of the properties?
I had one who just moved out after 4 months.
What happened?
So, well, we were actually, sometimes you screen people, and even though they check out great, you need to rent to them because there's no legal reason not to. Right?
Okay.
They screen great. They've got income, credit. Everything's great. Previous rental history, all that. It's fine. We were having trouble with her keeping up the yard, and it's her responsibility. And um, I was to the point where I was talking with the owner. I said, maybe we'll just get a lawn service in there to keep it up, and then we'll charge it to her each month.
Okay.
Maybe I'll weigh that with her. Not the next day, she gives me a call. She says, "Hey, I got pregnant and I need to move back to Florida. Can I get out of my lease?" So,
What's the answer?
well, to her initially, it's let me talk to the owner and I'll get back to you. And I talked to him, and we decided, this is kind of because the owner was leaning towards let's terminate the lease because they're not taking care of the property, they're not fulfilling their obligations. And we were leaning that way. And so that was kind of, yep, that's great. Let's see if we can get her to pay a couple months rent, maybe. So we did. We got her to pay a couple months rent.
Okay.
And, you know,
timing's everything, isn't
it is.
So what are the key tenant versus landlord responsibilities that either we're kind of aware of or, ooh, I didn't know that?
So let's take the easy one, smoke detectors.
Yep.
At the beginning of the tenancy, you have to replace the batteries yourself. But during the tenancy, the tenant's responsible for changing those batteries. You need to have a carbon monoxide detector on each floor if you have a fossil fuel burning heater, furnace, gas furnace, anything like that. If the house is all electric, you don't need a carbon monoxide detector. Needs to be at least one on each floor. It's strongly encouraged, and I encourage it as well when they go out, because they actually expire after 10 years. So smoke
Detector,
detectors,
okay.
yep.
Right.
When you change them, I tell the owners, hey, let's pay a little bit more and get the ones with the 10-year sealed lithium battery. You never have to worry about it, because a lot of times you'll run into the battery starts chirping during the tenancy. They just take it down.
Yes.
Well, that's defeating the purpose.
Yep.
So you put those in and nobody has to worry about it. The battery's good for 10 years, probably even a little longer, but it's good for the life of the detector.
And I know, I'll just interrupt here real quick. I know the Monday after the spring time change, you asked everybody what we did this weekend, and I think only one person said change batteries.
I changed my batteries.
I don't think anybody else did. Maybe it was you that said
I
you
think,
did.
I think Dave did. Asked, yeah. But another responsibility, and what's great about the leases is there's a whole table. What's a landlord responsibility, what's a tenant responsibility, and not applicable. So in a lot of cases, it's landscaping, lawn maintenance, tenant responsibility. We try to get the tenants responsible for pest control. And we're happy to give them a great service. We use Ready Pest Solutions.
Well, I think
they're
great,
much. So we just try to make it so there's no, well, I thought this was covered or I thought that was covered. And this way it's very clear. And the leases are getting longer and longer and longer. It's just the nature of the world we live in. Now you have like a 10-page lease, and then you've got a maintenance addendum and a pet addendum, and you've got an insurance addendum and another addendum. And you have to, because it's just lessons you've learned over being a landlord.
In some industries, North Carolina can be brutal on regulations. It's just one of the tougher states to rent/lease.
I'd say it's pretty landlord friendly.
Okay.
But it's not, I personally don't think it's unfriendly to tenants. It's fair to everyone, right? Yes, if you don't pay rent, you can get evicted, summary ejected. That's it, right? Because the landlord's probably most likely they have a note they have to pay. If they're not, So, so I know in some states, probably like California or something, it's almost, I hear it's impossible, and they just stop paying them. But it's very clear, and it takes about 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
Following the process, but we don't run into that much, and it goes back to the tenant screening. If you just rent to the first person that comes off the street, you're going to run into it.
Do you, when you have, I don't know, in the last year, what's the most openings you've had?
I had like 5 once. It was like,
did you see some of the same people?
I, in a sense, where I showed one house to somebody, and then they're like, well, they said, well, I got this other house over here in Cary. It's got this. Let's go over right now and take a look at it. They ended up renting that one.
Oh, okay.
So it's nice to have from that perspective, but obviously no vacancies is the best. It's a lot of time involved when you have a vacancy.
Yeah.
Just from getting it ready for the showings, handling all the showings, screening, moving in tenants. It takes a lot of time. Ideal world, every tenant stays for 4 or 5 years, and they all pay on time and have very little maintenance, right?
And you're skiing every weekend, at least. Yeah. Is there a tenant? Is there something in there or something on the tenant side that tenants don't know that's a benefit to them or they need to be aware of?
I should have brought a copy of the lease. But,
oh, good. Read a
lease
10-page lease.
right?
Good. Yeah, that would have been.
A lot of it, and I've got like insurance. We require tenants to have liability insurance. And a lot of times people just go through the signs. You're signing a contract. It's a legally binding contract. And I encourage people, I know it's long, but let's read it. Happy to answer any questions. You don't have to sign it immediately.
Do you go through the high points with them? on that, or do you go through the whole thing?
I'll go through the whole thing if they want to.
Yeah.
Certainly, you know. But insurance is a big one I talked about. We require tenant liability.
Yeah.
And I tell them in such a manner, I say, this only covers the structure because we represent, we're the agent of the owner. So I don't care about your stuff. I know it sounds harsh.
Yeah.
So it's liability insurance to protect the structure. I have to protect the asset. But it's cheaper for you to go out and shop around and get some comprehensive renter's insurance to cover your contents.
That doesn't cost hardly anything.
Under $100 a year.
Yeah.
Whereas if they buy it through us, through our software that we use, I think it's like Great American Insurance. It's $9.50 a month. But that's no contents. It's just they have a I think there's an option now where they can buy comprehensive, but still it's cheaper to pick up the phone, call Chris Thoreau with MetLife.
Yep.
He can get you whatever, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in contents coverage for nothing. And that way, because I've had times where water bust or something, toilet floods from the upstairs down. Like, oh, who's going to pay for my couch? You are.
Yeah. Yeah. And occasionally during hurricane season, we'll get stuff that may or may not come this way. And certainly with freezes, what should tenants be doing when they know some sort of weather's coming? And what are they responsible for?
A little bit of preparation. We have that spelled out in our addendums now. Things like if it's going to freeze, you need to open your cabinets so that some of that warm air can circulate. Potentially even like drip the hose if you don't have a frost-free hose bib. We're going to have a hurricane, all the stuff that's outside, you got to figure out somewhere, tie it down or put it in a garage or something like that. It specifically says in one of our addendums, if you're going to be out of town for more than 48 hours, you have to shut the water off to the house and the water shut off. And if you don't know where it is, contact us and we'll come show you. Yeah. We show them when they move in, but they may forget.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I know Chris Dowdow doesn't want to hear that from Service Master, but yeah, because if you're going to be gone, just shut the water off. Just a simple valve. That way. So it always happens when you're out of town on a holiday.
It does. And nobody calls you until you come back late Sunday night. And why is there water coming out of our front door, right? Exactly. So when a hurricane's coming, if you have a chair on your back deck that you did not put in your garage or your house, and that comes flying through the sliding glass door, that's on the tenant.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Right.
They'll probably fight it, but
that's kind of common sense, though, right?
Yeah, it does.
Move the grill, move everything inside because you just never know.
Get a piece of rope if you don't have a garage. Not all the houses have a garage.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Tie it down.
Okay. So looking forward to 2019. All right, we're middle of March-ish. So what are plans by the end of 2019 for the growth for MasterKey?
Well, we've seen some more, I call it organic growth, which is great. In fact, I've even had some tenants refer owners, new people they know. They want to rent a house out to me, which is great because a lot of times tenants and property managers, there can be a tenant relationship. So I take a lot of pride that, those tenants, they enjoy that relationship enough to where they refer me to somebody they know. So that's great. It's great to get those, Google AdWords, it works, but it's expensive. It might be $5 or $10 or $15 a click in this area. So unless you're spending over $1,000 a month, it doesn't really drive any business. So organic stuff is great. And we're working with investor partner. We're taking another one on from out of state to do some of the fix and flip.
Okay. And you're getting into that. You enjoy that?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's definitely some deals to be had. You have to be a little pick and choosy. Some people are kind of overpaying, but so far we've turned one and it was successful and we had a great return on that one. And we've got another one that's supposed to close here in a few weeks. And then hopefully, third one that'll close, end of spring.
What's the most number of properties a legitimate property manager can handle
by themselves?
Yeah,
probably. I would say I could probably handle 60 to 75 of the kind I take on.
Yeah,
because I'm a little more pickier and choosy.
Okay.
And I've been kind of enlisting Cheryl more and more. She wants
to buy her lunch for her breakfast first, right?
There you go. And I mean, there's a lot of things that, in fact, we just went over a whole list yesterday in my continuing ed. What can an unlicensed person do in property management? There's a lot they can do. They cannot negotiate terms or any of that, but they can handle showings. They can handle completing a lease. They can't adjust any terms or anything.
Okay.
There's a lot they can do. So
All right, so if people want to find out how good you are, they go to masterkeypm.com.
Yep.
Do you have any you have the one opening you talked about, but you mentioned a second one?
Second one coming, hopefully. I've got to meet a contractor over there today to do some punch lift stuff, and hopefully maybe next week it'll come available. And that's going to be up in Raleigh off Six Forks and Sawmill area.
Okay. Or somebody just has a house they're looking to maybe rent it and they want to talk to somebody, give you a call. Numbers on the screen there, 919. What do we have up there?
655-3950.
There we go.
You know, if they want to know if their house would be a good rental.
Yep.
Send it over. We'll take a look. It's not going to cost you anything. We'll let you know if we think it is. You know, they may say, well, I've got this $1 million house. I need to get $6,000 a month for it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. It's not a good rental. You're not going to find anybody who's willing to pay that, or it's going to sit on the market for 3 years while you wait.
Oh boy. First world problems to have, right? So,
one thing we did forget.
Yes.
We forgot about a little bit of the.
Yeah, we forgot to talk Astros baseball. We'll do that next time. So
Florida Gators.
Anyways, ranked right down there with Notre Dame.
So. How about those Volunteers?
So I didn't bring up Tennessee because I did not want to hear about the Florida Gators, but we have a nice little rivalry going. Yeah, since I was about 8 years old, you've been beating me at football. So anyways, Robert Dell'Osso of MasterKey Property Management. Enjoyed having you on the show today. Good luck with 2019 and your growth. And our guest next week, Matt Stone with Farm Bureau Insurance. We will see you next week on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.